Welcome to Mastering Cell Cycle, a comprehensive tutorial. In this video, I'm simply going to explore the cell cycle, a cutting-edge platform for revolutionizing the way we visualize and analyze cellular interaction. Whether you are studying cell division, signaling pathways, or cellular dynamics, a cell cycle offers a range of tools and features to simplifying your research process. Let's dive in and solve this problem. When we say cell, this is simply the basic structural and functional unit of life. It is also the smallest unit of organism that can carry out all the processes of life, including the metabolism, reproduction, and responding to stimuli. But in this case, we're strictly going to be focusing on cell cycle. When we say cell cycle, this is simply the series of events that take place in a cell leading to its division and duplication. It consists of a lot of phases, or four main forces, that is the G1, S and G2, and the last one, which is M, where the cell grows and replicates a DNA, followed by mitotic phase, which is the last one, and cytokinesis, where the cell divides into two daughter cells. The cell cycle tightly regulated to ensure proper growth, repair, and reproduction of cells. Let's dive in and solve this problem. Starting with the first one. First of all, we can say lifespan of the cell is what we call cell cycle. You can put this one down. So, the lifespan of the cell can vary greatly depending on the type of the cell and the organism it belongs to. Some cells, like those in human, can last for days, months, or even a year, while others, such as certain immune cells, have shorter lifespan measured in hours and weeks. We have four main phases of cell, or four main phases of cell cycle. The first phase we have, that is the G1, and next one we have G2. G1 is also known as gap 1, gap 2, and we have the S phase, which is the synthesis, and phase, which is the mitotic. Starting with the first one, this one which I put this yellow dot, is called the interface. When we say interface, you should know that interface is not among the main four phases of cell cycle, but rather we can say the interface is the collective term for G1, G2, synthesis, mitotic phase, and also interface is the longest phase of the cell cycle, during which the cell grows, replicates its own DNA, and prepares for cell division. In this case, in the case of the interface, what happened in interface? There are a few things that happen. First thing, which we can write it in the form of point, we can say most of the cell lived here. What I'm trying to explain here is this: most of the cell live in what? In the interface. Another thing is what? Except the cultural cells or cancer. Another main phase of the cell, here we have the active cell division. This is the word active cell division, sometimes being denoted with N, or also called mitotic. So it includes two main processes. The mitotic itself includes two main processes, which is the word mitosis and cytokinesis. Let's put it down. Let's say we're talking about the active cell, right? It's also been divided into two, which is the mitosis and cytokinesis. In this case, when we say mitosis, this is simply nuclear division. And when we said cytokinesis, this is the division of the cytoplasm. Next thing we have on the list, from when the cell moves from the mitosis, which is the active cell, to G1. From G1, there are two things that happen here. So we can also say the other part of the interface are what G1. In this case, if you look at the distance from here to here, we can finally conclude G1 is the longest part of the cell cycle. So meaning that longest G1, we can say is the longest part of the cell cycle. So, and apart from that, most of the cell also would spend its life here inside the G1. So from G1, a cell have two options. What are the options the cell have? If it want to move to the direction of the cell division, which is what the direction of the right hand side, moving from G1 to S, from S to G2, or it will move to the, or if it likes, it will move out of the cell to its resting point, which we call it G0. There are some certain cells in our body that don't want to be divided. E.g., we can call neurons example of those kind of cells. Instead of them to move from G1 to S, from S to G2, they move out of the cell to G0. So from G1, cell have a choice to continue growing if it want. If it want to continue growing, it moves on together in the cycle, which is what anti-clockwise direction. It keeps moving if you want to continue that is growing. If it moves to the next phase called S phase, this S phase, which we said is also known as synthesis, specifically DNA synthesis. So in this phase, which is the S phase, what happened at this point? At this point, it takes 6 to 8 hours. What happened here? A DNA replication occurs in the S phase. Because here, as we said, this was synthesis. The cells that find themselves here, the cell that came from G1 to S phase, what they do is actually they replicate and end up to be what? 46 chromosomes. The reason why we call them pairs, because we got them from both mother and father. They came here and as 23, they replicate and become 46. What happened after when the cell leave S phase, which is for the synthesis, and move in here to G2? In this case, in the case of G2, this takes 4 to 6 hours. Cells continue to grow and prepare for what? Division. Because when they move from G2, moving to M, which is the mitotic, so this is where division took place. So in this case, before we end this video, let's try to briefly explain some concept of cell cycle. When we say cell cycle, they are also being divided or categorized into two main parts, which is the interphase and mitotic. Under the interphase, what happened? Cell growth, we have the nutrient accumulation, we have the transcription and translation. Under the mitotic phases, we have the mitosis and cytokinesis. So, this is the briefly cycle, moving from G1 to S, from S to G2, from G2 to M. The reason why I'm writing this C, this simply stands for cytokinesis. In this case, let's talk about, between the G1 and M, we have the S. So let's talk about M, which is the word mitosis. In this case, even the mitosis itself is being divided into four different parts, which in using mnemonics I call it PMAT, which the P stand for prophase, M metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So this is where the cytokinesis lies. Let's take an example. Let's say this place, this yellow part or yellow portion, we can call it cytokinesis. So I'm going to stop here. This is it for this problem. On our next video, we're going to provide different problems related to cell cycle. If you find this video helpful or useful, please don't forget to subscribe and support my YouTube channel. So this is it for this problem. Thank you for watching.